What's up, guys? It's Crash, and a very special video for you guys today. I was joined by Tarkov content creator Geekseh. He's a Twitch partner and a YouTuber that covers Escape from Tarkov, pretty much all survival shooters. He's going to be covering a very exciting game that's coming out called The Cycle. So if you're interested in starting Tarkov, or you do play that game, or you're interested in The Cycle that you may have seen springing up quite a bit on Twitch, you definitely want to check out his channel. If you're on some kind of other planet where you follow me and not him, you definitely need to go check him out. Super good dude, great content creator. He's going to be doing some Battlefield stuff as well. And yeah, he's just a really good dude, great channel, and you need to go check him out. Can't thank him enough for doing this video. It got a lot longer than I thought it would be, but we essentially covered everything: Tarkov, Hazard Zone, Battlefield 2042 Specialist, everything it's in there. Again, it's a really long video, so hopefully you guys can kind of treat it like a podcast, listen to it while you're doing other stuff, while you're working on a second monitor, or in the car with the audio, or whatever. However you get through it, I hope you enjoy it half as much as I enjoyed making it. Thank you so much, guys. Your main claim to fame is that you're a Twitch partner with the Escape from Tarkov. So, like, what's the TLDR journey that got you like to that point, gaming wise? Like, where did you start gaming? Were you like always a PC gamer? What games like got you to where you started to enjoy Tarkov and making content for it?
Yeah, I've always loved. I've always been a huge video game nerd. When I was like 14, I started listening to podcasts. Um, so like Giant Bombcast, Joystick, um, like a lot of those like I was entrenched in gaming where I like the behind the scenes stuff. And actually, um my name came from me wanting to do a blog because that was what's popular at the time, right? So like everyone had a blog, like a video game blog, right? And I was like, "Oh, I want to do one." So I was like, "What would be a good name?" And I was like, "You know what? I'm Canadian. I'll do the Canadian market and Geekseh. That's a great name for a blog, right? Geekseh." And I realized two things. One, not much gaming in Canada, company wise, at that time, right? Like there wasn't really much. And number two is you had to be really good at grammar and spelling and you know what I mean, all that stuff. And I'm very terrible at that. You can ask my community. I'm very terrible. Like the big joke is I can't read because it's just like it's embarrassing, dude. But like I've been a huge fan. So I my first big game that I got addicted to was Warcraft, the original one. Warcraft 2, Warcraft 3, super addicted to those games, loved them. Then I moved over to like Diablos, of course. And then the first person shooters like Halo. Oh man, like Halo
Hmm.
2 really Halo 1 was good, don't get me wrong, but then Halo 2 with online and everything just grabbed me by the balls, to be honest. It was just something special, right? It was something so special. So I started doing Halo 2, Halo 3, Reach, all that stuff, and then Call of Duty 4 came out and that changed the game. Like, do you remember when Call of Duty 4 came out and it was just like, "What is this?" Like an
Honestly,
RPG kind of mechanic?
yeah, crazy fact about me. So I'm like 34 years old. I wasn't able to start gaming until I was like 28. So like I really haven't been
Oh,
gaming that long. Yeah, so like
okay,
growing up,
okay.
my parents wouldn't let me have like gaming consoles and stuff or anything. Like I didn't start playing until like even after college and stuff. So like, but
Okay.
Halo resonates with me because I started. My roommate had an Xbox, and it was, I mean, everybody's gonna hate this, but Halo 4, and like started. That's when I started. But it's like the same thing. Halo hooked me, and like online shooters. It's like it hooked me, and then I've ever since.
It's so funny that, like, gaming culture, like, it's like, "Oh, I like this. You're an idiot. You
Oh
don't know
yeah,
nothing." It's just like, you know what? This is
yeah,
like, it resonated with you, that's awesome. That's what I'm about, right? Is just like, as long as you're having fun doing whatever you're doing, as long as it's not hurting anyone or you know what I mean? Like, if that's your thing, awesome, good. Like, you know what I mean?
right,
You should
yeah.
celebrate it, and if that got you into gaming is Halo 4, good, good. Like, that's awesome that it brought you here to where you are now.
Oh yeah, wouldn't
But
trade it for anything. Heck yeah.
to go back to the question though, I started playing all these games, and then I started playing, I've always like Metal Gear, like anything, man. I was really deep in PlayStation 2 and Xbox 360 and all that stuff. And then I was never a big PC gamer. One day I just was watching Twitch here and there and I thought, okay, I'll try it. And my game at the time was Hearthstone. I really liked Hearthstone, and I just started streaming on a laptop, like 5 years ago on next Saturday. 5 years ago next Saturday, I started streaming on Twitch
Nice.
with a Toshiba really garbage laptop, built-in microphone, built-in webcam. That's what I use to stream, and the reason I really liked Hearthstone, to be honest, was it could run and, um, it could run a stream technically and play Hearthstone because it wasn't that, like, intensive, right?
Right.
So, so it was really good for me, and, my first setup was actually, like, my ex when I was dating my ex, I was actually going through a transition period of jobs at this time, and she was a bartender, so she'd work at night, so I'd wait till she left, and then I'd set up my stream because I felt like I was doing this guilty thing, right? Like, I'm playing video games live when I felt like I should be, like, I don't know, doing something else with my life, and, I had, like, a Costco beach chair, one of those low ones, and I
Yeah.
would just sit under the coffee table in the living room, and then I'd put the laptop on, like, my old cooking books when I went to school, so it was lifted up and, like, I used Wi-Fi, I didn't know I should plug in, and then eventually over time, I grew it and, things actually went my way, right? Yeah, Hearthstone, I did that for 2 years on Twitch, and then the biggest thing was I'm always been a looter shooter fan. So games like The Division, Diablo, like I talked about before, Diablo, like I love looters a lot. Like I love that endorphin rush of finding something like Borderlands. I freaking love Borderlands. Destiny 1 I loved. And the whole like Tarkov is like next level endorphin rush, right? When
Yeah.
you first
Find
start playing
something.
Tarkov, that's a next level looter shooter for sure.
Hmm. So like, that's what hooked you? Like that was what you loved about Tarkov? Like what about like Tarkov like kept you coming back? Like was there a moment? So like me, what got me into PC gaming is Rainbow Six Siege. And I actually did on the bank map, I rappelled on a skylight upside down. I didn't know what I was doing. And a guy was coming up the stairs and I'm rappelled upside down and I shoot the guy and I'm like, this is the coolest thing I've ever done. And it hooked me. Was there a moment like that with Tarkov, or is it just that's like the
Yeah,
perfect game?
for sure. So I can remember like when you're beginning playing a game and you're a streamer, you always put it in your title, like new player, first time playing. And there was a person that joined me, and he was like, "Listen, I'll take you on some raids to kind of show you the game. It's very difficult. If you've ever played Tarkov, it doesn't hold your hand. It was even harder back in the day, right? Like it's crazy to hear that, but it was. And he was taking me around interchange, and he died to this person in the back area of Goshen. He died, and he's like, he's right here. He's describing it, and I turn and I get my first kill. And now, if you showed me, of course, like because I have over 6,000 hours now, if you showed me what this guy had now, I'd be like, yeah, yeah, whatever, right? But at that moment, he had a modded, like a somewhat little kitted out MP5. And I was like, look at this. I was so excited. I was just like, it was the ultimate loot. And of course, with Tarkov, you're scared to go in with loot. Gear fear is a
Hmm.
real thing. So that it stayed in my inventory for a whole wipe, and it kind of always was a reminder of like remember this moment. You know what I mean? Remember
That's
the
funny.
highs of this moment. So there was always a reminder to be like, hey, remember how good this feeling was. And I always wanted to get back to. I chased the dragon. I chased the Tarkov dragon, and I fell in love with it, man. I fell in love with it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's there's no other game like it. I've played it like a decent amount, and then like you said, old Tarkov was harder. I watched Veritas did a really good video about the history of Tarkov. I
Yep.
watched that. It was really cool, like to see what it was like. I almost think I would have liked it better back then, but I'm not for sure. But it seemed like a completely different
Right
game.
now there is a fight like the community is like in this like weird area of like you know playing before drop event and then after drop event and how things have changed and one of the worst things is it was one of the funniest things, this Chad versus Rat thing that, General Sam, it was just a funny meme, right? And then people took it as gospel, and then it's like you're either a chat or a rat. There's no in between. And then people started using it as a derogatory thing when it was just supposed to be this meme and it was funny. And and listen, if you kill me, you outplayed me. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Like as long as you weren't cheating, and as long as you weren't extract camping, that's some bullshit too. But
Pretty
like
bad.
if you know what I mean, like if you hear someone and you know where they are, and you're like, I'm not gonna rush in there. Like it's not smart. This is a survival game. I know they have to come out here, or I know I'm gonna get an angle on them. I'll wait 2 minutes because I know eventually, like, it's just the name of the game. Like, but people want to be like, oh, you're just camping. Blah. It's like I'm surviving. That's the point of this game, is it's a
Yeah,
survival. So relax. But yeah, there's just like the community is amazing, but there is, like any popular game, man, like any popular game, there's always that divide in the community. There's always the people that think they're right, and there's always other people that think they're right. And then yeah, it's just I just want to have fun. Whatever I'm
yeah.
doing, I'm just about fun, man. As long as I'm
That's
having fun playing the game, I'll keep doing it.
that's happened a lot in Battlefield too. Like we'll talk about the specialists and stuff a little bit later, but I've just noticed
Mhm.
like everyone was hyped for the game, and then they announce these specialists, and then you see that divide, like pro and against, and all that kind of stuff that we'll get to. But a little bit more on Tarkov before we transition to Hazard Zone,
Yeah, for
because
sure, for sure.
there
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
it's a thin comparison, but there are some parallels, and I'm interested to see if Hazard Zone can learn from Tarkov, because like right now it's in a lull, right? Like we're towards the end of a wipe. People have kind of done what they wanted to do in this wipe. There's people
Mhm.
with a lot of money with the flea market. People have unlimited access to whatever gear they want. So there's kind of, I feel like from watching different streams, people are kind of looking for something to do. Along those lines, is there something about, like, what are the things that you don't like about Tarkov, or something that's holding it back?
I just think, the team size, you know what I mean? It's a niche game. It's a very niche game, and, you know, when it comes to games like Warzone, or, or Battlefield, or any other, AAA studio, the amount of firepower they have as a studio compared to someone like Battlestate Games is night and day. You know what I mean? The biggest complaint from every Tarkov player is content's not coming out fast enough, right? Like that's the biggest complaint most of the time, right? It's like, oh, we need this added, like inertia or something, and it's not coming out fast enough. And when you look at a game like, I'm just throwing out Warzone because it is like the hotness, and you see the stuff that they're doing, like the Halloween events, like all these cool changes, all these cool modes. And you can shit on that game all you want, but their their development is fantastic with, like, let's not talk about their anti-cheat. We don't have to talk about that. But I just mean, like,
Right.
as a studio, they are making a crap ton of content, and you can say they're going the wrong way sometimes. Like, I really don't think they needed to put out a new game this year. I thought they could have just started really working on Warzone even more, and doing stuff. But they're always doing, like that Halloween event last year, at least I remember, because I was playing it. It was just so much fun, right? Like those changes, like those like once a month, like just game modes that can really bring people in, is fantastic. It's just Battlestate Games doesn't have the studio power that these AAA studios do, and that's where, like, I'm hoping Battlefield, and we'll get into this. I think people talking about it being a Tarkov clone is the wrong thing, and it really screwed it. It really, really screwed it. And I'm sure we'll get into that, but
Hmm.
um, I think if it was, like, let's just say it was, because again, we're gonna have to get into this and how we haven't seen shit about it really. Like, we still don't get it. Like, it's coming out in like less than 3 weeks or 3 weeks, and I still don't know anything really, except for I need to get a hard drive. You know what I mean? Like, so if it, like, let's just right now talk about how, if it was a Tarkov clone, I would just be so excited that they can, like, develop it faster, have a studio behind it, and, like, even if only a third of their studio was behind it, that's still probably more than Battlestate Games has. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. Do you know what the size of dice is?
No, I'm
Like,
not
that
sure, but
are
I do
producing it?
know, they have five. They pulled in five studios to work on this game. I
So,
mean,
like, 5 studios. They have 5 studios, right? Like, and
yeah.
if only, like, 1 was working on it, I'm sure it's over 200 people. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's EA, man. They have power.
Yeah.
And the other thing is if it becomes super successful, they're just gonna like pump more people to do more stuff,
Right.
right? And that's it's yeah, that's the biggest thing that I would like to see if it was a Tarkov clone, right?
The other side of it that these big studios have on Battle State is the marketing team, and that's like where Warzone is. Their marketing, and I talked about this with my interview with Tom Henderson, was like they're like Activision's marketing and Call of Duty's marketing is an absolute juggernaut. That thing is a machine in marketing. And that's I feel like Battlefield, and kind of how you alluded to it, like we don't know anything about Hazard Zone, and you're putting it behind this $60, $70 paywall and nobody knows what it is. It's kind of weird. And like I kind of thought Battlefield's marketing was a little bit lacking. And I feel like the folks over at Battle State, like they don't have time to worry about marketing because they're too much because they're working on the game so much.
Well, I think, you know, a lot of time their marketing is like streamers and word of mouth, right? Like that's how they've always been, right? They got super popular because of the drop event. Like Twitch drops just came out of nowhere. No other game has ever exploded from a Twitch event like Tarkov has. It was insane. Like being a streamer before this Twitch drops thing and then seeing like, it was like 20,000 people, you know, 30 when it was like a wipe happened or something like that. Like, it was that was, you know, where it was, and then for it to go to, like, over 100,000 in a day was oh, it was so insane. It was amazing for us, like, as a community. Brought a lot of people into a game that I loved and I truly still do love, and I think it's special. So it was like it was cool to be like, "Yeah, look at this special game, right? Yeah, it's hard to get into, but I'll show you how to get into it so that you can, because it's so good, so good."
Mhm.
You know, and you can see people taking that clone now because they're like, "Oh, yeah, there is something about Tarkov," right? Like, that style is something special for sure.
Yep, and that's exactly what I wanted to talk about next. That's a perfect segue. Is um I kind of personally, and you alluded to it too, like the Tarkov comparison is a little bit thin. Like I maybe like the bare minimum gameplay loop of trying to extract is almost where, based on what we've seen, is like almost where the similarities in. There's so much that Tarkov has that this doesn't. But whenever the leaks and rumors first started coming out, I got excited because, and I thought it made sense. Like I feel like, and it still might be only a matter of time before a AAA studio comes out with a game like this, because there's such a massive console market that doesn't have access to a game like that.
Mhm.
And so I don't know where those rumors started. If it was like just somebody heard survival and the person was like, oh well, it's probably like Tarkov, and that's how it started, or if it was like a marketing thing that they started. I don't know, but like that the thought of a AAA studio making a Tarkov like game, I feel like got a lot of people excited. And then you can tell me what you thought of the trailer, like when you were thinking Tarkov, and then you saw that trailer. It's like
So,
this isn't what I signed up for.
so, you know, only time will tell, but I think maybe this whole everyone hyping it to be Tarkov and the complexity of Tarkov and whatnot, it might have like it might have shot themselves in the foot by letting these rumors spread, and the hype level for it to be this game that it's clearly not might have shot them in the foot when this game comes out, right? Because what I'm thinking it's like now is Division Dark Zone. That's what I'm now comparing it to is Division Dark Zone, you know, with the extracts even. You know, their extracts were for armor and guns and stuff, right? Did you ever play Division Dark Zone?
Yeah, a little bit, not
Yeah,
very
so you
much,
know,
a few
like
times. Yeah.
not but so I'm thinking it's more of akin to that, and it shows you how excited people were and wanted something like Tarkov with another game.
Mhm.
And I think that's the most interesting thing, right? Like people were getting really hyped for this thing, and now I don't think it's going to be what everyone thinks it is because they let the rumor spread so much and the um and I should have said this at the beginning. I'm really sorry to everyone here. I've been up for 37 hours now. I actually did an all-nighter stream. It was impromptu. So if I'm a little rambly or can't pick the words. I'm really sorry, you guys. So, but I think they let it go a little too long. And then when, I'll talk about the trailer a little bit. Um, I still don't know what it is. Do you have any clue of what it is? Like it's so it's PvE, PvP. You collect these hard drives, and that's the big thing. Um, and is that so? I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. Like I'm
Right.
always trying to wrap my head around it.
Yeah, it's still like exciting, right? Because like I give Dice props for trying new stuff. Like love or hate the specialist, I still respect that they're trying to do something different. They're not kind of copy pasting like to me Call of Duty does every year, bringing back the same maps and stuff like this. Portal is a wonderful idea, a way to mix and match old content in a new way. To experience older content in a completely different way is a really cool idea. But like I said this in my video, like reacting to the trailer, it's like, where's the depth? If I'm why am I going to get these hard drives? Is it to come back out and then go get more hard drives so I can then come out, get a loadout and go get more hard drives? Like, and that's what I kind of wanted to talk about too, is like I don't is there anything in that loop that sounds like people would want to come back, and what could they do to keep the replayability up and people wanting to come back?
So when I was thinking about it, right? So I'll tell you one of my biggest gripes right now about Battlefield, and not gripes, but my biggest letdown, I would say, is in my head. I thought the gun customization was going to be on par with Tarkov. I really did, right? Like, the fact that you can't change like, I don't know for sure, again, this is before it comes out, so maybe I'm wrong, but as far as I've seen, it's like you can only mod what's in the T system, so you can't change the butt stock, you can't change a pistol grip, you know what I mean? There's, like with Tarkov, if you guys haven't seen Tarkov, you can mod every single piece of that gun like it's real life, right? You can
Right.
mod everything. So in this before we found that out, I was like, okay, so Hazard Zone is gonna be what I wanted it to be was like, okay, so in my head, this is what I wanted. Hunt Showdown. You ever play that?
Nope, I've watched it. I haven't played it, but
You
I've
watched it?
watched some
So
streams.
with
Yeah.
Hunt Showdown, it's like, here's your character. You're just given a random character, right? And then you build them up, right? So every time you extract, you're building this one character up. So I wanted that style where it's less like, here's your generic character, and then you're building them up piece by piece. So the I wanted the first to the third raid of finding these hard drives to be like, okay, I'm gonna go in. If I kill a PvE character, so we call them scavs in Tarkov, so that's what I'll refer them to them as, in this. But if I kill a scav, I should be kind of pumped about probably what gun they have, because the one I have might be uber shitty, but the one they have, it's like, okay, it's worth it to pick this up. And
Hmm.
then what I wanted to happen was like, okay, I'm picking up attachments as I go. So I picked up a new pistol grip. Awesome. I picked up this to mod my gun out. And then I got these other things so I can use the points to get a new um to get like maybe new perks and whatnot. So I wanted that gun modification to be there. And then not only is your character like, oh, I've got all these perks, it's like, look at the gun I built from everything, right? Like, look at all these pieces that I found, and like I killed a boss and I grabbed his, AK, and it was modded out and stuff. And what it seems like it's going to be is, you got hard drives. Okay, now spend your hard drive money on, getting some attachments for the gun, and now let's go back in. Like, I don't know where the 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 loop's going to be where it's like, I want to play this game over and over again. And again, we're 3 weeks out. All we know about is we have to collect hard drives. It's PvP, PvE, and
Yeah.
we have to extract. And the other thing was, the extractions. I wanted it to be like, if you want, everyone can survive. You know what I mean? But it sounds like only 2 teams can survive. You have to, like, battle it out at the end. The battling out at the end kinda reminded me of, what's that game? It was like a battle royale game. It was from the people that used to do Halo. I'm really sorry. It's on the tip of my tongue, but at the
Was it
end.
Was it Ring of Elysium?
No,
There was
no.
that was one
It
where you had to get out on a helicopter and like you could fight it out, like trying to get
Oh,
to the
okay.
rope to get in.
This one was kinda like that. There was PvE in this one. Ah, man, I wish I knew the name of it. I know everyone on this
Somebody
video
else
right
say
now or
it.
live right now is like, "Geeks, it's blah, blah, blah." Okay,
Yeah.
I know, I'm sorry. But so in this game, it was PvP, PvE, and the PvP wasn't even really focused until the end circle. You know, it collapsed, but you wanted to kill, like you wanted to mod your guns up and collect things and kill these NPCs to level up your character, and then at the end, it was like this one drop ship that everyone had to get onto, and multiple teams could survive. So it was like it was a timer down to from for like say a minute, and then the drop ship would leave, and then you like some people would just try to run at the end into there and hopefully not die and stuff. But what I didn't like about the game was like at the like it was like slower pace, and then at the end, it's like a gong show, right? It's just like,
Mm,
oh my god, like
madness.
yeah, madness. And that's what I like about Tarkov in the sense of if I want to go balls to the wall, I can and I can survive. Or if someone wants to play slower and just like really take their time, they can survive. So everyone has a chance to play their own style, survive, and get rewards for it. Where this, it's like you survive or you don't.
Yeah, I think
And
based on what they said, I think this game's going to be pretty hot, like combat wise, because they're saying 15-minute matches and
15-minute matches, that's what
yeah,
they're saying?
yeah,
Oh, wow.
like
Okay, I didn't
so
know that.
pretty darn short. And they're gonna have a storm that makes the map smaller, so people are closer together. And then I think it said one extract, uh, like 6 or 8 minutes in, like halfway, and then the last extract, and then after that first extract goes, like dropship or whatever, then
Mhm.
like the AI starts to there's like more AI, the storm gets smaller and crazier, and it's harder to survive after that first drop, but then you can make the last drop. But yeah, so there's gonna be 8 squads of 4 and 2 get out. So every time there's gonna be 6 squads that like don't make it. So I mean
And
that's a
this was my sorry, go on.
no, I was
I
just gonna say
apologize.
that's like a little bit BR, like battle royale, like having just
Mhm.
2 squads come out,
So
unless survival.
that's my gripe with BRs, is there can only be one winner, you know? In the end of the day, like, you can like, don't get me wrong, you get 15 kills in a BR, you feel great, you're like, "Awesome." But there can only be one winner. So you can get 15 kills and then you die, you lose. If you come in second, you lose. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yeah,
And where Tarkov, again, there can be multiple winners, which is the best feeling about that game, right? It's I can play my style, you can play your style, and we can both survive, or we can duke it out, and I can get a bunch of loot and get out, or you can get a bunch of loot and get out. But there doesn't have to be only one winner, and I really do like that kind of play style, right? Is you still feel like you accomplished something, even if you didn't do the greatest.
right,
Where this kind of sounds like, and it sounds like again, I've been following the game, but not as, of course, in depth as you. The first drop ship's like super early, right? So not many
pretty
people are going to
early,
go on that one. So it's like
right?
the last drop ships where everyone's going to kind of,
Yeah, and it's gonna be chaos. Yeah, likely.
yeah, and it'll be mass chaos. So yeah,
And now that you've said that, it makes me think like all the games are gonna kind of go the same way. Like you're gonna have to play it a certain way every time. You're gonna have to, and I hope there's side quests, and that's gonna be a question I want to ask a little bit. Like, so you talked about like so in Tarkov, there's so much gun customization. Well, that's not in
mhm,
Hazard Zone. It looks like based on the plus system, you have 4 things you can change. You can change your sight, your barrel, your undergrip, and your ammo. That's it. I think on a side note, I think World War III killed it. I don't know if you saw that game, like in the beta. They have the same exploded view where you can change so much stuff. And then you can also
mhm.
pick like 4 attachments that you can put in your backpack and you can change those
Yep,
in game.
they did a great
I
job
think
on
they
that
did
game.
it
It
perfect.
was fantastic.
It was
And
perfect. And then like so the gun customization isn't going to be it. So in the gameplay loop and stuff we've seen, what could they do to like keep people coming back? And the only things that come to mind, like, what do you think about challenges, like, or events? or just to keep it fresh, like, and maybe like cosmetics like that you can only get in Hazard Zone that you can wear
Yeah,
in
of
multiplayer,
course.
like.
You know, we were talking about this earlier. Again, Tarkov community is kind of weird when it comes to cosmetics. And I know, Battlefield's not like shy about it. They did cosmetics, right? They did, Battlefield 5 and Battlefield 1 had the cosmetics. Nothing super goofy, nothing like PUBG dinosaur outfit kind of style, but they still did cosmetics. And I'm a fan of them. I'm part of that side of Tarkov where it's like, a lot of people complain about, oh, don't put cosmetics in Tarkov. Don't do it yet. Like take Gilla mask and kill a mask and all these other things and like that track outfit. Everyone loves that stuff, but like you wouldn't want more of that kind of fun stuff. Like I think when people think of cosmetics, they think of like Warzone and like PUBG style,
Mhm.
like arcadey H1Z1 kind of like goofy unicorn heads and stuff. I'm not
Yeah.
talking about that. I'm just talking about like maybe different camos, like different spray paints, so like your gun kind of looks like it has leaves on it. Like stuff you would see in real life. It's possible, and as long as they don't go too overboard. So I know Battlefield's, of course, not of course. I'm sorry, I'm misspeaking here, but I think they're going to go the way of Warzone. And you were saying earlier how you talked about Warzone and Activision really pushing the publicity of it. When you're making over $5 million a day, it's you have infinite money to do whatever you want. Like they're making over $5 million a day. That
It's crazy.
is that th- the whew, like that's
That's
next.
nuts.
I don't think any other game has ever made the money that they're seeing. You know what I mean? Like, and to be honest, no one's ever, Fortnite definitely probably has. I bet you Fortnite was there too. But um, this is like a new era of gaming where it's like free to play. You're making still a crap ton of money. Yet, how do you keep the game fresh? How do you keep the original people that love the game? How do you keep them in while keeping the new players and bringing them in? It's a very fine balance and a very fine dance that they have to do, and a lot of times it ends up almost ruining the game, you know?
Mhm.
You look at how, like, Fortnite people left because, like, there was mechs and all that stuff, and then it just started going downhill, right? They changed too much at once or something, and that's how gaming always goes, you know? When it comes down to it, the average gamer understands this too, like, when you get into a game, you go hard into that game for 4 months, 3 months,
Yeah.
and then you're on to the next game, right? It's just
Most
how
people are, yeah.
gaming is. Yeah, that's just how gaming is. And what this free to play model is trying to do is like, how do you keep those 3 months people for the next 3 months and excited because something new came out, right? So we're
Mhm.
making, you 150 million a month, so we have the money to develop this, but like they're doing it so fast and just off they don't have much time to try to keep these people engaged and interested. Like you can have all the money in the world, but you know with success like this, you just don't have the time or the team. Like you only have a certain amount of team and people that know what they're doing and are used to your code and everything. That how do they get these new styles of game going? But Hazard Zone, it's not even gonna be free to play, is it?
Right. Yeah, and that's what everyone thought, right? We in the last earnings call, Andrew Wilson, CEO, in the transcript it said free to anchor. I'm pretty sure that was a typo. I listened to it and I heard free to enter. That makes a lot more sense. Like anchor's weird word. I think the
Mhm.
transcript got messed up, but he said free to enter mode. We heard about Portal. We heard about all out warfare. So we're like, well, that's how they're going to get the pre-orders. And then they said they're going to talk about Hazard Zone right before launch. Well, they'll get those pre-orders, then they'll say, here's our free to play game mode. And then they said it wasn't, and I just like had instant firestorm
Is this
flashbacks
for sure? Is this a for sure? Sorry. Is
that it's
this
not
like
free.
100%? Yeah. Is this 100%? Yeah.
Yeah, at launch it's not free. They in Discord, on the Battlefield Discord, and EA support answered and said it, with the game you have to purchase the game to have access to it. So
Okay,
that's
thank
from
you. Sorry,
EA.
go on about Firestorm. Sorry.
No, I just got that flashback because EA killed Firestorm doing the same thing, putting it behind a paywall, and then at the same time they released Apex Legends for free and they killed their own game. Like But like, and that's the thing. So I mean, people are always like, don't compare it to COD or don't compare it to Halo. I'm comparing it because they share the market space. They're the three AAA shooters, which doesn't happen very often. We're getting all three AAA shooters this holiday season, this quarter, and the other two games have massive free to play elements. Warzone's huge free, and then Halo's multiplayer experience is going to be all free, and Battlefield $70, and the crossplay doesn't have chat. It's just like they're shooting themselves in the foot. That's also what I thought, like the delay. And we kind of know now the effect that that's going to have on it, that 1 month delay. I thought that was like the biggest advantage Battlefield had. Like we have a huge like need for a new shooter game. Like people are kind of tired of Call of Duty. That's back when the controversy at Blizzard and Activision was going on, and people were tired of the cheating. There wasn't a lot of new content. People needed a new game, and Battlefield was going to have like a month and a half to have people and to hook them, to be the only new game, to be the first game out and try to hook people. And I was hoping there was going to be a Tarkov mode to hook people. It was going to be great, but then they moved it back, and now they're only going to be a few days before the new Warzone map integration, and I think that's going to be a massive event. So Hazard Zone, and I worry about it because if it doesn't make money, they're not going to support it, a la Battlefield 5. They ended support early to start working on 2042, which is a whole nother thing. Like, why is it not more polished than it was? But anyway, since they've worked on it longer, but whatever. I'm not mad.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's just like, and if they don't support it, I don't know how people will keep playing it. I don't want to see it die. I don't think it will die because I think this game's going to be popular. It's going to have crossplay. They're eventually going to get chat to work.
It will have its community, like
But
every Battlefield game. It'll be fine.
yeah,
Yeah.
but as far as like Hazard Zone, I feel like it could get caught in the middle, right? Like the hardcore Battlefield community, they're going to be in Portal. They're going to be playing Conquest and Breakthrough. All the Battle Royale, like high stakes type players are going to be playing, Warzone. Halo might have a BR. And like, I just feel like Hazard Zone could be kind of just like a weird in between thing that doesn't really get people going. Cause I thought within that gameplay loop that they showed, I could really only come up with a couple things that would keep people coming back. That's unlocks. Like if you have to unlock weapons and attachments and things that keeps you coming back, like kind of a completionist thing. Like in Tarkov, you want to go for Kappa, right? That's what you get at the end. So like something really cool at the end to unlock, or cosmetics that you can only unlock in Hazard Zone but wear them everywhere. So like if you see him on the field, like, oh, that dude's like legit, he's a really good Hazard Zone player or something that you can wear. That's cool. And like, because I was hoping for like an RPG element like Tarkov has, like you have your character, you can go to Ragman and dress him up pretty cool. I don't go into raids without a mustache. Just what I do. I have to have one. I have to look good.
It's a cliche, right?
And then you build up your hideout. You just kind of have that RPG element. You can kind of get immersed. And with the specialist system, you're not going to have that. Like that's another thing I thought World War III did really good too. They have amazing soldier customization, and then you pick your specialization on top of that. But you're that same character down to tattoos and face paint, gloves, how you want to look. And I'm a little bit sad that Hazard Zone's not gonna have that RPG element. And like I'm pretty much down to like cosmetics unlocked in a ranked mode, like to keep people coming. I know ranked hooks people. It helped Apex a lot. It's what kept me playing Rainbow Six for a long time. Was trying to get to platinum, So I mean, is that enough to keep people playing?
So you touched on something that I kind of want to talk about is like you touched on how like you're so passionate about Battlefield, right? And you wanted a mode that was free to enter so that you can bring more people into a game that you love. In the end of the day, I think, like that's why I loved that Twitch drops was so successful. I love Tarkov, and it made people come to Tarkov and realize how good it was. And Battlefield has always been like, I wouldn't say niche, but it's always definitely been like not your pickup and really play that much for your average gamer, right?
Right. I
Where
feel like the
you
average shooter fan, it's like what you play after you get tired of COD, like every day.
yeah, it's a little more in depth. You have to think a little more. I've always loved it. I'm not going to say I was like hardcore into it, but man, Battlefield Bad Company 2, Battlefield 4, I was into, man. I really enjoyed those games. And, you know, Battlefield 5 I started playing, recently, and I played it when it first came out, and I was like, "Ah, it's just not there." You know, I wasn't like in Battlefield 1, and then I recently started playing Battlefield 5 again, and I was like, "Holy crap, is this good?" You know what I
It's
mean? Like,
not
it's
that
just
bad.
no, I think it's fantastic. I really do. I know it's still like everyone hates on it, but I'm like, this is good. I really enjoy it.
I
But
like it.
what I think what the Battlefield community wanted was some sort of free to play element that would bring people into this game and for them to see like look at it, just spend some time with it. It's special. This game is special. We've loved this because it is amazing and there's something here. And that's why I think the community wanted some sort of free to enter mode because like you could be this hardcore at least I was the Battlefield guy. Like I would play Battlefield Bad Company 2 or Battlefield 4, but none of my buddies played it. They'd play COD or Halo. They would never touch Battlefield. So you want some sort of mode to be like, "Hey guys, just come, hopefully they get hooked and then you guys start playing, okay, this free to play mode and now they're buying the game to like maybe unlock like COD does, right? Like to unlock things in Warzone, you want to play multiplayer because it's easier to unlock attachments and stuff a lot faster. One thing I did want to know though, and I'm not 100%, was Warzone free at launch?
Yeah.
I I see. I heard recently it wasn't, and I don't remember it not being though. It was always free to play, right? I
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
I know the other one might have not have been the
So
what
like
was their battle?
Modern Warfare 2019 was when it started, and they said like up until like a week or two before they announced it, there's not a battle royale. There's not going to be a battle royale, which is exactly what Dice is doing. Which like to let the cat out of the bag, not really, but for me, when they said that Hazard Zone is not free to play, think there's going to be a Battlefield BR in March. Like,
100%. I called it season 2 or season 3. I'm like,
yeah.
that battle royale is coming out season 2, season 3. Like, and what I heard, I'm not sure who I heard this from. It might have been Tom, to be honest. And it makes sense, is that they're going to be able to if they were saying how if Hazard Zone's not successful, they're gonna easily be able to just turn it into a BR.
Mhm.
And
And
what I
he
think is gonna happen oh, sorry, go on.
No, I didn't mean it. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, what I think is gonna happen is they're just gonna have both in the end. They're gonna have Hazard Zone, and then they're gonna have, your free to play BR.
I think so too. And the reason, I mean, it all adds up, right? Like, and some of Tom's sources, I've seen he's like showed me the DMs and stuff when I was making videos because I didn't want to make videos based on nothing. So I asked him,
Hearsay. Yep,
just the
yep.
sources, and he's got some sources. So, um, but what I think it might have got misconstrued that Hazard Zone would turn into Battle Royale. I think what might have probably been said that sounds more likely to me is all the pieces are there for a Battle Royale. They have big maps that hold 128 players. They said they have a storm that shrinks the map. They have all these specialists, a hero shooter like Apex. The lead game developer is a massive Apex Legends fan of Battlefield 2042. He recently got hired on a few months ago to finish the game out. He's a massive Apex fan, and like it's just like everything is there. And
Didn't they
I
bring
was
in the guy from that did Warzone? Like, the head guy that brought in season passes to Warzone? Didn't they
yeah,
hire that guy?
hmm
Yeah,
yeah, in
you
the
know?
marketing part. So it's like yeah, I think it's gonna happen.
Here
It makes a lot of Battlefield fans upset because I think what they worry about, and rightfully so, is it almost feels like Warzone kind of killed COD multiplayer a little bit. Like I mean, if I feel like if you did a poll and asked people, like Vanguard comes out in like a week or two, like not very
yeah.
long, and I feel like more and people got so hyped today about hearing about the map integration. I think people are more excited about that. There's not as much hype around a new COD as there used to be, but around the Warzone, like everybody's amped, and I feel like a lot of hardcore Battlefield long-term veterans and stuff are worried about like a battle royale or something, kind of killing the multiplayer to where they don't focus on it as much.
But here's the thing, though. Okay, I have 2 things. Remind me about attachments in BR in this if I forget. Sorry, again, the hours I've been up, I'm trying to juggle
I'm an old
everything
man.
right
I'm
now.
gonna type it out. I'm gonna write it down.
Yeah. So they can complain all they want about it killing the multiplayer, but let's be honest. There what hasn't really been a COD like that has been this popular that has sustained this amount of players multiplayer wise, right? So the Battlefield community should just see it as like, okay, people might buy the game now. Maybe they're sick of playing the BR and they'll go into the that the other modes, try them out. Rush. They might be like, "Oh, this is actually super fun, right? This is totally different." I'm playing as a team now. I don't have to survive. I don't have to be a winner. We win as a team, and they should see it as like again introducing people to the franchise, introducing people to the game, and to be honest, just giving Dice money to develop something amazing and developing more content for it.
And,
Now,
and
where sorry, go on.
oh no, I was just gonna say like I'm sorry to interrupt. I was just gonna say
No, no, no.
the a lot of people are also, I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate here, is like a lot of people are
Yeah.
saying like they're tired of battle royales and stuff like that, but like the viewership would argue with you. Not, I'm not saying a game has to have good viewership to be successful, but I feel like where you have, they already put out 3 pretty big game modes, 7 massive maps, you have 4 extra maps coming to Portal. There's a lot of content that we know about already. This game's going to be, in my opinion, it's worth it. Like, you have high stakes gameplay with Hazard Zone for the multiplayer, more contemporary audience. You have a specialist hero shooter on big maps, and then for the old school guys, you can make a hardcore server in Portal and play with your buddies. Like, it's got like everything. And then I hope the reason they're doing this is to show people like we built a full-fledged Battlefield game. Now we're gonna add the battle royale to this next March after we kind of lost our hype off the launch. And I just hope if they do that, it works and people see it as a massive, massive way to draw people in. Because when they said free to play and they said, like they ended support for Battlefield 5 early, and I'm also a pretty big fan of Battlefield 5. Like I know it's
Mhm,
cool to hate on it, but I enjoyed it. And
mhm.
when they ended it, I just kind of felt like, okay, we're going to have some dark times here. We're going to have a long time with no content, but it's going to be worth it when this game comes out. And I saw it was going up against Halo and it's going up against Call of Duty. And I just want to see Battlefield go toe to toe with these guys and be just as big or bigger than these other shooters. And I think in today's market, the only way you're going to do that is with a free to play battle royale.
So people can say, you brought up a point. People can say that they're like everyone's sick of BRs, but again, you brought up the point like, well, it doesn't look like it. Like Apex Legends is one of the most popular games on to watch on Twitch and has probably some of the highest player count Apex Legend and Warzone, right? So like you might be sick of a war or out of battle royales, but the player base isn't. And I think it's just like team deathmatch, right? Like so back in the day, team deathmatch then became a staple. Like every game had a campaign and a multiplayer team deathmatch, right? It was everywhere, right?
Yep.
And now you see it with battle royales, and they're like, and it was the same thing with team deathmatch. Oh, team deathmatch is so overdone. Like let's stop. And they did do different modes, capture the flag, any one of those different modes for sure. But it's still a variation on team deathmatch style with objective based, right? There's always going to be now a BR. They're gonna try to do a BR with every game now. It's just again, Warzone making $5 million. Studios aren't going to be like, we don't want a piece of that pie,
Yeah.
right?
We don't want to make
So
all that money.
so it's gonna be your multiplayer uh modes like deathmatch, capture the flag, all that stuff, objective based. It's gonna be campaign if that now, but campaign, and it's going to be a BR. It's the way it is now. I think that's what we're looking at now, and there's nothing I don't think wrong with that because now you have three options of where you want to play, and again, it's just if you love this game, you want it to be successful. And, if it's having a BR that you don't touch, but again, the game's successful, awesome, because it's just bringing you guys more content in the end of like being able to pay for free maps or whatnot. The issue I'm having though that I want to talk about that you wrote down there, the attachment system is with BRs, you have options about different loadouts and different guns and how your attachments are. Again, there's 4 different things you can put on this gun. There's not enough variations. There's just not. So, I just don't see how a BR gets really exciting or different when it's gonna be the same gun over and over with the same 2 attachments on everything, right? Like, that's something that I still need to wrap my head around is it like, there's not many variations for this gun. You know what I mean? Like, your
Yeah.
AK, there's not gonna be many variations. It's just not. And that's something that scares me, and, like, you brought up twice now World War III. You know, there's variations, right? There's so many variations of one gun, and that's where I wanted to see, Battlefield go. And again, we haven't seen the finished product. We don't know 100%. We can be totally wrong, but they are listening to the community. You looked at the trailer they dropped today. I watched your video on it. Very, very good.
Thanks.
One thing that you didn't touch on though, did you notice how did you feel like the bass got turned up on the guns?
Mm, I didn't notice it. I'd have to watch it
No?
again. I
I
felt honestly, um, I played the tech test and the alpha, and
yeah.
that was that had the bass, the punch to it, and it didn't in the beta. Like it was like I said one of the best things about the technical test was the gun audio was so punchy, it sounded awesome. And then that
Yeah.
wasn't in the beta. So I'm wondering if that was like added back in or
Oh,
when they made the trailer,
interesting.
maybe they made the but yeah, like the
That
like
yeah,
that
that's the biggest thing I noticed in the beta is that, like, the guns just didn't feel like guns. You know what I mean? It felt like
audio
guns,
was
but it felt
so
yeah,
scuffed in the beta.
like, again, I'm not the biggest Battlefield guy, but I've played enough betas to know about Battlefield betas. I've played enough Battlefield betas to know they're just scuffed. You know what I mean? Like, they aren't the finished product half the time. So, the guns didn't feel right, and then I heard that complaint over and over and over again in, like, just reading forums. I'm always on Reddit, just looking at what people are saying about the game, watching videos like you, and complaints people are saying, and making my own judgment calls too, making videos on it. I've made some Battlefield videos too, and definitely the guns just I didn't even know how to put it. I was like, "It's just missing something," and then I watched the trailer today, and it just felt like they took the bass knob on everything and just jacked it so it felt, like, heavy and thud, and I was like, "Oh, shit," like, they're
Yeah.
listening, and they're like, "This is what you want? You want this? You want this?" You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. It
a
was
and,
more it sounded more like the tech test to me for sure. Uh,
Gotcha.
um so what you were like I feel like so you're and I agree with you like there's not enough variation in the guns. It's like it's a shooter that adds a ton of replayability to try different guns and things like that. It feels to me like for replayability there's a couple ways they can go with it. There's no campaign. They said they're going to work the lore into the multiplayer. So
Mhm.
maybe they have a lot of events and things like that. And then you have also like the maps are massive. And I wanted to ask you this. Um, you and you saw that I'm glad you saw the map trailer today because I was going to ask you like
Mhm.
kind of what you thought of the maps. I think they're one of the like the guns are kind of the low point. I agree, but I think the maps are kind of one of the strong points. And then
Love it.
we can kind of finish up talking about the specialists. But I like what you thought of the maps today. I feel like they're big and they're going to play really well for Hazard Zone. Also, would you have rather it been one big map or a different map for Hazard Zone, or do you like the seven different maps?
So, I think so, okay, if it was free to play, if it would like, I don't again, I don't know yet because I don't know the game. Like, again, we still don't know, like, much about it, and that's what really, like, I just can't wrap my head around is how little information, and maybe it's, like, this crazy cool thing that, like, we're gonna be blown away by. That's what I'm hoping for, right? It's just,
Same.
like,
Yeah.
this crazy thing, but what I was kind of happy about was when I heard about it was 7 maps, I was like, this is actually really smart because if it is free to play, or at least 3 maps, let's say, right? Because someone dug up some stuff about that and how they data mined that it is on these modes are on the maps. I was like, it's kind of smart because say it's free to play and then the people buy the real game, they'll at least know 3 of the 7 maps, right? So it's kind of smart. It's like, "Oh, I already know this map." Like, it's I'm playing it differently, but I know all the main land points and things like that, right? Um, there's a couple of things that we can talk about. Is A, how do you play a 15-minute match on those maps? Do
They
you know what I
said
mean? Like
the storm's
like
supposed to make it a lot smaller, but yeah,
that's
it's
gonna be so fast, right? Like that is such a dude, that seems like it's just like they're just gonna be like, you drop in, you do something for a minute, storm. You do something else for a minute, storm. You know what I mean? Like,
and
because those maps are massive.
I was hoping for like side quests and challenges. Like I'm just I don't if you haven't gotten it, like I'm trying to find the replayability in this mode. And like I thought maybe side
Yeah.
quests and challenges, but like what I don't know if you've had time,
But
like 15
again,
to 20, even if it's 20 minutes.
should we be trying to figure out the replayability 3 weeks before the game releases? We should
D-
know what it is and be talking about it.
Double-edged sword. Or I don't know
Yeah.
if that's the right word, but like one side of it is like man, I want to know what this game is. Like it sucks, but at the same time, it kind of keeps you interested in in the launch. Like I know a lot of times, sometimes betas like give too much, like, and you already know what the game's going to be at launch. And like I dabble in New World with some of my friends, and
Okay.
like you played the beta and got up to like level 20. Well, when I played the launch game, it's like I was doing the exact same thing, leveling to 20. I knew what was going to happen. Where you had one map, limited specialists, limited weapons, and everything in the beta, it leaves a lot of mystery and that excitement for launch. Because back in the day, like before betas, like you would just get so amped for a new game launch because you didn't
Mhm.
know what to expect. And it adds a little bit of that. I'm hoping that's why they're doing it, to keep launch exciting. There's still a lot of mystery and things to discover with Hazard Zone, but at the same time, I get the frustration. And if you've like some of my earlier videos, like I've been asking for more communication like the entire time because rumors like the Tarkov rumor can be damaging. And I just
Mhm.
wish sometimes the community managers could say, hey, no, here's a little snippet. It's gonna be, different or something, just to because there's been a lot of damaging rumors over like the lead up to this game and in the marketing. And there was a long time right before they announced the delay, there was almost like a month of silence. And
Yeah, yeah, I remember that.
it's like, is it keeping that mystery up, or are they just having problems? And sometimes like it's hard to decipher, like.
So I'll bring out my double-edged sword now and joust you or whatever the kids do nowadays with their double-edged sword. But so a lot of times it wasn't like new modes. Really, it was like you didn't know it was coming, but you knew it was multiplayer. You knew it was like more deathmatch,
That's
right?
true.
So now, them not talking about Warzone, say, until like a week or two, it didn't make a difference because it was free to play. You know what I mean? Like no one had to pay to get into this. With the amount of anger from this beta and this being part of the $70 game, you would think they'd want to explain and want to incentivize people to be like, "Oh, look, this is part of the $70 package. You should still keep your pre-order or you should get this game because look at how awesome this is." Now, devil's advocate, they're not saying much because maybe they like that everyone's thinking it's Tarkov like, even though it isn't. And they know maybe they have a dud now on there. You know what I mean? Maybe like I don't know. I don't know. But like if you're trying to convince people to buy this $70 game, you'd want to explain everything into what's happening, right? Like you already know what Portal's like. They explain the shit out of it in the one trailer and they showed like all the cool stuff. They explained the multiplayer and the maps. Today they showed off a lot of the maps and how awesome they are. And I am kind of worried because yeah, they're huge and they look so gorgeous, but again, they're showing us what they want us to see. And in the beta, there was a lot of empty zones. Like it's such a big map. It's super cool, but there was a lot of empty spaces. You know what I mean? Like a lot
Mhm.
of just like, here's a field again. But they haven't been explaining what hazard zone is. And it really just makes me think they're not confident in it now. I think that's what my decision is. I think they're not confident in it anymore
And that
because yeah.
and that's one of the big downsides to not having communication is people's minds start to wonder. Like you kind of start to expect the worst, like especially based on the last game, how it upset folks, how they messed up the time to kill. uh content was so slow for Battlefield 5. Like it was so drip fed and there wasn't much. And like then when you start not hearing anything, it's like, hey, this happened before, and last time we didn't hear anything. It wasn't very fun. So yeah, I definitely get that. And
Listen,
with the maps, I think they're trying to, and this is kind of dangerous too. I saw one of the map designers, or it was maybe a community manager tweeted, and sometimes this frustrates me too. You have to, with Dice, you have to follow like 30 different Twitter accounts because the developers tweet, and it's like important stuff that I wish they would say on the official channel so everybody knew it, because you have to hunt and
yeah.
look for this information, which I guess it's cool to make YouTube videos about. But they said,
Well, it's good for you for
right,
sure.
right.
Yeah.
But they said that you, instead of like the normal loop of conquest where you take one and you move on, they want players to maybe stick to an area more and not have to move, and then they want people to use that vehicle call-in system. So they like, it seems like they know that there's dead zones in between all these points, and sounded like they want to try to get people to like hold points better and also use that vehicle call-in system. So I don't know how that's going over. Me personally, I think the maps are going to play better on breakthrough, like to give it, like to keep people in kind of one area fighting back and forth together.
The problem is also it doesn't they want the teams to stay in one zone like you were saying and whatnot. It doesn't feel team based anymore. You know what I mean? I know your next topic was specialist, so this can lead right into specialist, but it really did feel more COD one man army than it did Battlefield. I'm helping out my friends,
I did
right?
I did notice that in the beta. So like when I'm playing with my squad at Battlefield 5 and we're kind of losing, like I feel like we can turn it up and we can sway the match. And I saw 128 players, and like everybody else, I'm like, oh, this is going to be awesome, massive battles. But it kind of stopped feeling like a multiplayer shooter because I didn't feel like I could change anything with the outcome of the match. And like if you're like, if you do what they say, like you said, stay on a point, you're like kind of isolated. You're like, I'm doing my part, like just chilling here and holding this. But like, I realized like in Battlefield 5, when I'm playing like Conquest and Breakthrough and stuff, I'm always looking at the scoreboard to see what we need to do, where we need to go and pick points up and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But in the beta, I just was kind of running around shooting people. I barely checked the scoreboard. I didn't, because I felt like I didn't have
Do you
any
know why you didn't
sway on
check the
the,
scoreboard? Because the
it
scoreboard was ugly and it was
broken.
awful.
It was
Anyway,
broken
sorry,
and
sorry.
didn't show anything.
Uh, like
But I mean, even like the ticket count, like to see who was winning, like I just felt like I didn't care who won, and
no,
because I couldn't
no,
do
you
anything
didn't.
about it.
Uh, it's tough when you have this many people and you're supposed to be like your squad is supposed to be able to turn the tides and once there's like this amount of people now, it like you said, it doesn't feel like four people could really change the course of a whole match where before, maybe you could like with really good teamwork, right? Maybe two teams really going off, right? It's the biggest thing I could say about the beta, the biggest thing that kind of hurt was I have to tell you, I was so excited for this game. I honestly was I'm still excited. I'm not saying I'm not, but I was jacked for this game. And I think our level of hypeness and the way they were like we're ahead of schedule and all this stuff, and then it just kind of everything came crashing down. It felt like in 1 month, and it was just like, what's going on? We didn't understand what was going on, and then there's silence, and then we had to like piece together by leaks. And when the beta came out, I enjoyed myself. I had fun. I played it, but I wasn't like when the beta left, I wasn't like, "Oh, that sucks." Like, "Oh man, I can't wait." Like I was just like, "Oh, it's done. Okay, cool. Back to Tarkov." You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like right now, I'm playing the Cycle Frontier, and I am like a kid again, man. Like no game like Tarkov has done this where that gave me that feeling of like I'm 16 again. I want to get home from school. I want to do my schoolwork, eat as fast as possible so I can get at gaming. Like I'm so excited to get going on that game right now, and that beta is done on the 8th, and I'll tell you, once that game's gone from the 8th and then it comes out in 2022, I'll be sad because I really, really I'm enjoying myself, I'm loving it, and, to be honest, it's kind of like what I expected, maybe the not as in depth as the cycle is. Have you seen it or played it?
I watched you play it, and I've watched a
You
couple other people
okay,
play it.
so
Yeah.
it's kinda what I wanted Hazard Zone to be. Do you know what I mean? Like, you
Yeah.
drop in, multiple people can survive, you're killing PvE, you're getting attachments for your guns, you're finding guns, they're hard to get because you either have to craft them with stuff you find or, you can't just buy them outright. Like, I really like the whole gameplay loop of this game, and that's what I was expecting from or I was at least expecting from, Hazard Zone, and in the end, I think I've decided after, being up for 37 hours now and us having this conversation, I don't know if they're confident in Hazard Zone anymore. I don't know if they want us to think it's Battlefield and that's why they're waiting, or they're just like, we want to blow their socks off a week before um release and then we'll release a whole bunch of stuff. Like I'm sure they do you think they're going to release something else on Hazard Zone before the game comes out? Like would you bet money on it?
I don't think they are. I wish they
What?
I wish they would. I don't think they are. I don't know. They had one of they for Battlefield lead ups, they used to always do these like developer streams where they would get together with the developers and they would just dive into the games. They'd say like this. So for Battlefield 5, these are the new mechanics we're going to have. These are some of the vehicles you're going to see. This is how it'll play. Here's some of the maps. And I've been dying for one of those for this game. They had like a little tiny one where they announced just what 3 modes they were going to be.
Yeah,
But it
the sit
wasn't
down
near
and
as,
the thing, yeah.
yeah, it wasn't near in depth. It wasn't near as in depth as they had been in the past. And I've just been hoping for one of those when they said, they said, during that, they said, we're going to tell you more about Hazard Zone a couple weeks before launch. Well, here we are in the fall, a couple weeks before launch. And I feel like I, how this marketing has been going, I feel like that's it. I hope it's not. I would love like an in-depth thing to say, here's what we're going to do. And like, so I was the same way, like with those comparisons that Tarkov just kept coming up as like the thing that Hazard Zone is going to be like. And I think we've kind of, and the purpose of this was to kind of maybe debunk that and show that that comparison's a little bit thin. Like, cause I've seen when you're playing the cycle, like you have the mining, I saw you guys mining and getting gems and
Yeah,
stuff, and like all that
yeah.
stuff would be really cool. And there's an inventory system. And when people said it's going to be like Tarkov, I guess there is a dark market currency,
Mhm.
but Tarkov and probably the cycle too just has a massively important economy with the flea market and the traders, and they're doing events now where like stuff's in and out of stock, and there's just so much depth to it that it doesn't look like Hazard Zone is going to
What
have, and I was hoping for that.
like I said before, what I wanted it to be was you finding something in this raid of Hazard Zone, and, like, it's hard for you to get like, I really think it's gonna be as long as you can survive, 2 or 3 times, you're gonna be getting a kitted out gun, probably. Like, I don't think they're gonna be like, "Oh, you're still using a basic, AK," right? I wanted that feeling of like, I'm scared to play Hazard Zone because I've got this kit now that is like I've been surviving. I've been like ratting almost, like I've been playing it slow to get it to extract and just finding like attachments here. I don't want to be able to buy attachments. I wanted to find them in Hazard Zone from like killing, doing PvE things and like killing bosses and like trying to avoid fights because I'm not ready. Like I don't feel like I'm ready to go in. I want that feeling of gear fear. So it's like, ooh, like I'm sweaty right now, guys. Let's get like I want to make sure my boys are on because I have my kid on here, boys.
Hmm.
I don't think we're gonna get that. I don't think it's gonna be, of course, the cycle and Tarkov are their games based on this mode. So I wasn't expecting that in depth. What I was expecting was just like attachments are hard to find, like there's weight on things here. And to be honest, I think it's going to be like, hey, here's your dark zone currency from collecting some more hard drives and that's collecting the same mats, the same materials over and over and over again is going to get so repetitive that it's just gonna be nothing, right?
That's
It
what I'm worried about. The only thing that makes me think it like, and that's what it's about. Like it's trying to get that like adrenaline pump going. Um like, you know, oh man, I don't want to die. I have a really cool gun. I just
yeah.
in Tarkov, it's like I found a GPU and like you almost don't want to move. Like for me, I know the GPU is not like the craziest thing, but anyway, just for like level 19 crash, like a GPU, like insane. Like and you
No,
you should get
dude,
scared.
I'm still like that. I'm still like GPUs are hard to find. I'm not gonna lie to you. I haven't found one recently. But how are you gonna have this feeling? Sorry again to cut you off. How are you gonna have this feeling when only two teams can survive
Yeah,
always?
that's pretty much my
You
question.
can't.
And also like the only
You
thing
can't.
I'm seeing in there is like maybe they said like you build streaks, like the more you survive in a row. So like you could say, you know, hey, I've survived 3 games. If I survive one more time in a row, I get this. So like we need to have
A
our
calling
sticks up,
card or
boys.
something. But, like, is a calling card enough, dude? Is, like, a little thing, is that really now what I wanna show off?
Like just real quick, like Hazard Zone playing so fast like that. Like the thing that's cool to me about Tarkov, and I'm not sure if Nikita said this in a podcast or it was said, I heard it somewhere, that they like maps like woods and stuff, they want you to feel like you're alone but know that you're not. Like you
Mm.
kind of feel alone but you know that like any tree or bush could have somebody in it that's ready to kill you. And like it's this is going to play like an arena shooter, you know, if the maps or match is 15 to 20 minutes with 32 people and 2 extracts, it's going to be fast
So,
and furious.
when people talk about Tarkov and a big thing that I hear about because it's very difficult, and as a new player, when you get in that's not close to wipe or even, like, 2 weeks after wipe, let's be honest, is, the player base is so far ahead of you that it's hard to get into, right? And I agree. And they were like, "Well, why can't we just do like, you know, like level base, like 1 to 20 are together in this one raid and 20 to 40 or you know what I mean, and so forth or something like that." But the magic of Tarkov, honestly, is you don't know what's around every corner. And to be honest, I've died to some of the worst ammo in the game, and I had an amazing kit. And that feeling of not knowing what's around the corner and you just taking your shot and it working and that excitement is what makes Tarkov special, right? So it's like I know what's around every corner in Hazard Zone. I have 15 minutes. I know I have to make that chopper, so I know guys are right there, and that's it was really depressing to hear about them only having two extractions like that right there. I was like, oh, it might not be for me then. You know what I mean? Like it might not be what I think, and here's the thing, they didn't e it's not even like it's their fault, right? It's not even like it's
No. Yeah.
Dice's fault because it was all of us just thinking that it was like this. We were all comparing it to Tarkov when we had no proof. We just kinda read, 2 sentences or 3 sentences of what it is, and everyone jumped to conclusion because probably Tarkov got popular, and we expected someone to start, you know, taking influence from them and implementing it into their game, and I think that's what we and it shows you what people wanted, right? Like that's the direction
Hmm.
people were really excited about and wanted for Hazard Zone, and it doesn't sound like that's where they went with it,
Yeah,
right?
but like at the end of the day, I see the bias though for people to always want to compare a game to another game. Like, oh, it has this, well, it's this game. If it has this, well, it's like this game, and that can be kind of dangerous
Yeah.
and because it can do this. Like you can build it up in your head, and you expect something, you get excited for it, and then it's something different, and you just kind of messed up your excitement yourself. Like no one else messed it up. Like you built it up to be something, and then it wasn't, and you disappointed yourself. So I'm doing my best. I got excited too about Tarkov because I when they started saying that, like I was just kind of getting into Tarkov. Like I've only played the last 2 wipes. So
Okay.
I'm a hatchling or whatever you call it, like a noob or whatever. But um,
Yeah.
so yeah, but it's a great game. I really like it a lot. It's definitely a unique experience, and I just was hoping for that type of experience to expand to the console folks and just take off big and bring people in over to the game modes I love, like Conquest and Breakthrough, and do meme around in Portal with 120 guys with defibrillators. You know, like
Yep.
I just got excited. So what I'm trying to do is trying to just approach it with an open mind, and I'm going to look at the bright side of things that we don't know a lot about Hazard Zone at this point. So launch is going to be pretty exciting, and it's going to be cool to see just how it plays out. And covering this game, I've really gotten into the marketing stuff, and I'm just, at the end of the day, I just get kind of excited to see how it's all going to play out, whether it's going to take off and be amazing or crash and burn. I'm just going to kind
You're
of
there for the ride, you
enjoy
know?
watching it. Yep.
In the end of the day, what I was hoping for was a more, um, a more casual Tarkov, right? Like, that's what I was hoping for because, you know, the what I talk about with Tarkov is it's hard to be a casual player in that game when it takes like 20 minutes to get it into a game, you know, maybe more sometimes when you're like you're playing inventory Jenga and then you're trying to figure out your loadout and then to get into a map it's about 5 to 7 minutes and then you're in there and then you die and then you're like that was an hour of my time and I feel like I accomplished nothing, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted more streamlined, casual to bring people into that genre and then people can be like, "Oh, I really like this. What games are like this? Oh, Tarkov, it's a little more hardcore. I'll give it a go," right?
Yeah.
So that's what I was hoping for is the console players could get a taste of what this kind of mode is like, and I, maybe they're doing their own thing. It sounds like, which is not bad. Again, you said everyone wants to compare it to everything, but you know some of the best games like you know, you couldn't say what like, you know, what's his name? Green, who did he's
Oh,
PUBG.
Brendan.
Brendan Green. So you wouldn't be able to really describe it as another game, right? When he did the Arma 3 mod to make it the battle royale it is now, you would be like, there's no real game kind of like this. You know what I mean? So maybe they're just trying to make their own kind of special thing. And as consumers, we want to be able to put labels on it
Mhm.
and to be able to be like, okay, it's like this. In the end of the day, both of us pre-ordered. I'm not just because I didn't like the beta doesn't mean I'm not excited. And I didn't realize it's 2 weeks away, not 3 weeks away, eh?
Yeah, it's the
The
12th.
12th? The
Yeah.
12th? So
Mhm.
not next Friday, Friday after that. So in 15 days. It comes out in 15 days.
Oof.
I
That's
thought it was
wild to
3
think about.
weeks. I thought it was 3 weeks, but that's for, like, the
That's for
people that didn't
everyone,
pre-order,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, or
So,
you got
it's
the golden
still
ultimate edition. You play early.
yeah. Yeah, I wanna be early. I'm still excited to play it and try it out. But that is I like, for one of the pillars so 33% of the game, that is one of the reasons you're paying for the $70 game to not really be explained to the community, for us to not really even see much gameplay in there or how things are working, it is kinda, you know,
I get
it's
that.
kinda odd. That's all.
It's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of it's different, and I hope it pays off, but I guess you just don't know. So, all right, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but specialist, the best for last, your
Yeah. Yeah.
favorite
Yeah.
thing,
For sure.
specialist. So,
For sure.
uh, I'll just kind of just super quick, like my overall opinion is
Yeah, I
like
wanna hear it.
I appreciate DICE for trying to innovate, and I feel like it's cool to have them try different mechanics and things. Um, and I respect that, but I just don't feel like a hero shooter was the way to go because honestly, it's been done so much, and it from what I've seen, like they upset a lot of people, like hero shooters do, and they're hard to balance. And not necessarily on my video where I talked about this. I'm not even talking about balancing it from a stat standpoint. I'm talking about like a psychological frustration factor that comes with is inherent with specialists. And I was what brought this to my attention was there's actually a team when I was playing Rainbow Six. I was consuming podcasts and listening to all that stuff about that game, and there's an actual team at Ubisoft that just worries about player frustration, and they actually balance operators off of that to make your experience better. And I hope DICE is looking at that. But with some of the specialists that are there, I think even though they can come back and say, hey, like, look at the stats, the KD of this operator is in line with everybody else. But just when you die to those things, you remember that. And like,
Yeah.
even though you had a good game, maybe you went 26-4 in the back end of a game, had a great time. But like the one time you died to like a shield guy pushing you and you shot him and your bullets bounced back and killed you, that's gonna stick with you. And I worry about it a little
You
bit.
might have went 26-4, but everyone was the same friggin' specialist. You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
like how I see specialists. Okay, so I'm willing to try everything, right? I'm very sad that they went in this direction, to be honest. I kind of like being, generic character 1, 2, 3, 4, and then my skills is what makes my character good, right? It's my own thing. Now, we already have to worry about gun metas in a game like this, right? And then perk meta now. I felt like they just I don't know about you. What I thought was ridiculous was in the beta how they had like the bots had incendiary grenades and smoke, yet we didn't have one of the main things, and that was smoke
Yeah.
nades in a beta. Anyway, sorry, I'm going off on a tangent, but um,
Sucked into the
so
beta.
i- it was like, how don't you have smoke nades in a beta? Like that's like, isn't that really important for Battlefield guys? Like, to anyways. But when it comes to like metas in video games, because that's what it always comes down to, is everyone wants to use the best of the best, and everyone wants to have that much more of an edge. We're seeing that now with how many cheaters are in the industry, and with how people are becoming popular on Twitch by becoming the best of the best. So people want to be the best of the best. And if they can't be, they want to have an edge, or they want to, do a cheating. So there's always a meta. There's always like the best gun. There's always the best attachments then for that gun, meaning the gun. There's always the best loadout. So like the defibrillator or the ammo or whatnot. And now we have to worry again. Another balancing act is the specialist. You know, we have to like balance out that. And you have to worry about sometimes, like, I know they don't do it, but if you don't think the Vanguard guns are going to be overpowered at first so that they can sell more copies of the game so people want to buy them and level them up
Yeah.
in the multiplayer mode so that they can have an advantage, you're crazy.
I
And
thought
the
I
same.
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, no, and I don't know if the specialists are going to be coming free or if they come with the you have to buy the season pass for it, right? So I'm not sure how that'll act, but if it does, is it going to be like, oh, it's going to be a little powerful, and then we'll dumb it down, right? Like, you know what I mean? So it brings in something that I don't think this game needed, is another meta for us to worry about, and just a general like I would be cool if like, the skins were for like the four different, the engineer, the assault, you had the four different skins for whatever one you want to play, but now it's like this skin's for only this character. So it's a badass skin, but I never play that character because I don't want to hack stuff. Like I don't care. Right.
Yeah.
So and like are they doing loot boxes? Does anyone know? Or are they
It's a
doing it
battle
like
pass.
Warzone? No, they're gonna sell cosmetics
Yeah,
to
and
like
a battle
Warzone, right?
pass. Yeah, it's just gonna be like
But
Warzone
is
with
it
the
gonna be
battle
like
pass.
Apex where it's loot box, or do you think it's gonna be like
I
it's
think
gonna be
it's
like Warzone where it's like this is the pack you can buy?
I think it's gonna. Well, there's probably gonna be that too because Battlefield 5 had the armory, and then what I also think they're gonna do is they're gonna do a battle pass. So like, there's a free tier where like every 10 tiers you might get some little
Mhm.
crappy doodad
Yep,
for
for
free,
sure.
and then you got to buy the premium track if you want the whole thing because that's what you
Yeah.
get in the with like the gold and ultimate edition. You get the battle passes. So, but if
So
you buy
you're
the
telling
standard,
me
you have
you
to.
don't think that there's gonna be like other skins that you can buy? Is that what you're telling me?
No, oh, I think there's gonna be both. I think there's
Oh,
gonna be a
okay.
battle
Okay.
pass and a store like COD,
Yep.
like
No, I
because
agree. I
yeah,
agree. The battle pass, it's going to be like Warzone, right? And a store. I'm just curious if they're going to do it a la Apex, where it's like a treasure chest and it's random whatever you like what you get out of it, or if it's going to be more Warzone where I want this skin. You know what I mean? Like, I'm using, I'm using, what's his name? The Canadian, why sorry, again, hours up. What's his name? The guy with the grappling hook.
McKay. Buster
McKay.
McKay. Yeah.
So if I'm like, I like McKay, is it gonna be, I'm gonna go buy this skin pack for McKay because I love McKay, or is it gonna be, I have to buy these loot boxes and hope for McKay skin to pop up?
Man, if they
Because
do
Apex
loot, if
Legends does that.
they
Apex
do,
Legends does
it's true.
does the random loot box. They don't let you, I don't know. Again, I don't play Apex, so maybe I'm wrong. But do they let you just be like, I want this skin? I don't think so. I think you have to loot box it.
Yeah, they do. I'm not too familiar with Apex, but I know, and I'm
Yeah.
assuming and hoping it's like Battlefield 5. So there's a company coin you get from playing the game, and then
Yeah.
there's also Battlefield coins, which is you buy those. So and then there's a store and you pick like what skin you want for which faction and you pick it. And some of them you can buy with coin, and the premium ones you have to use the battle coins, or people call them boins. But and
Mhm.
then you can buy that. So I'm hoping that's what the store's like an armory, and then you have your battle pass with the tiers and stuff. But you're 100% right. Like there's going to be metas. And especially if Hazard Zone's going to be fast, there's going to be, I think there's going to be stack metas like you have in Rainbow Six, where you can get two specialists that work together, and if you have a squad,
Here's the
you're going to
thing,
be strong.
we didn't need that. We needed like, what was wrong with having like assault and a medic and that being the meta, right? Instead of being like, it's McKay and this person, right? Like,
Well,
that's,
they
yeah.
didn't sell me on their reasoning for specialists. I think at the end of the day, like whether we want to admit it or not, it's probably to sell skins to all these different specialists and sell specialists. But they said it's so, you used to have to pick, well, I want to play with an SMG, so I have to be a medic in Battlefield 5.
Mhm.
If I want to play a sniper, I have to play as recon. Well, they're opening that up, but that doesn't it's not mutually exclusive. You could still have the same four classes and let them use whatever gun they
And let
want,
them use
but the
whatever guns they
gadgets are
want,
tied to that
right?
class.
Yeah,
It's like their whole
yeah.
reasoning of why they did the specialist thing doesn't hold water in my opinion. I would rather them just say head on, hey, we want a new mechanic, we want more team play, and we want you to think about what specialist you pick to go in to do certain things, what your objective is before you drop in. I would have respected that a lot more. But where they're like, it's so you can use any gun, well, you could have done that with the old classes like that.
I would have loved for them to just be like, when did 42 come out? What year?
When the 2042.
1942.
Oh
Or
shoot,
yeah, yeah, like, uh,
was it like oh 04?
let's search it.
Okay. Consult the Oracle Google
Oracle Google says it came out 2002.
too.
2002. So, they could have been like, "Listen, we've been doing the same thing for 20 years. We want to try something different. We still have Portal for all you guys that want um, that same m style. We still have it here for you guys. But listen, we wanna try this out. We think it's a good idea. The team's really behind it. We're really excited for it." That's all you had to do. That's all you had to do is be like, "We wanted to try something new and the team loves it. We're behind it," you know? Instead of being like, "Well, can't use every gun." So,
We had to do this.
we had to do this. And again, we won't know till we see it. The UAV person or what the X-ray vision person everyone's being like, this game's done. Like, why? And to be honest, that's what I'm using right away. It's like, why would I pick
Right, yeah,
anyone else? Why would I
right,
pick I want X-ray. I want to be Superman in Battlefield. I want
right.
to see through walls. Of course I do. That's why I liked the guy with the turret, Boris. I really like Boris because I like that turret kind of put an outline around people. So, it was somewhat hard to see people
Because
sometimes,
they're
right?
tiny.
Yeah. Dude, that video you made, I was like, "Holy shit, you're so right. You're so right." Anyways, so it was very difficult to see people. So I would put that turret down and just like be by it so I could be like, "Oh, there he is," and still kind of get some feeling. But uh why wouldn't I want X-ray vision now? Like, you know, I honestly don't think the riot shield guy is going to be the pick because then everyone's just going to have sticky nades, and that's what the meta is going to be,
and
right?
rocket launchers, and yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
probably
that's all it's
smoking.
going to be.
So
But
yeah, it's just gonna be just people are gonna go through that exact same thought process you just had, and there's gonna be metas. And
but
I was
did you feel like
honest.
anyone? Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say my overall hope, and I know we've mentioned it several times, but just like World War III, where you and they could have even done it with these strong gadgets and traits, but you are your soldier. Like you can build a man or a woman or anyone of any kind of even non-binary genders, anything, and that's
Mhm,
your character, and like that's you on the battlefield. And then you could, you could pick a trait, and you could pick a gadget, like a high powered gadget and then a lower gadget, and then use any gun you wanted to. So you can
mhm.
play like this engineer role with this gadget and have any kind of gun, but like you look the same and you feel. I was hoping for that, because like that's one of the cool things about a game like World War III is, and it sounds kind of dumb, but that kind of thing immerses me, where like I feel like I'm that character and I look a certain way, like I want my character to look as close to me as they can. And then like I'm dropping into war and I'm fighting on this battlefield, and that just adds a lot of replayability, because then you kind of want to unlock stuff. For that, I feel like there could be challenges that it's like unlock a skin for Angel. I don't play him, I don't care. Like that's just some of the
Well,
stuff I
guess what? Buy
wish I
another
would
loot
have
box then, because you wanna get the good skin, you know? But
done. Dude, the
you
community will be butt detonated if they have loot boxes. That's just all I'm gonna say.
I think, like, they do it with Apex, and it makes a ton of money, like, that's another fucking interview, talking to someone about what they think the loot boxes are gonna be like, and you know what? I don't care, I'll pay $100 and make that YouTube video for everyone to be like, "I made $100," just like a clickbait title, right? Like, "You won't believe what I got out of $100 cases," you know what I
$100
mean?
case
Like,
opening video.
yeah, yeah, oh, dude,
The only thing
it's
they'll
just
get me on that I will
yeah.
drop money on, and people in the chat can tell you, is a cowboy hat. Like if they have a
Oh, really?
skin with a cowboy hat, I think they're goofy and they're hilarious in video games. And if they have one, I will pay for it. But that's about
I'm the same way with anything to do with hockey and video games. Anything that has like a hockey skin or something, I'm like, yeah, 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 that's mine. Or a flannel, of course.
it.
Um, so one thing I will give them credit for though, in the beta, the one thing I didn't hear really, aside from the medic girl, the older lady being just completely kind of useless, was no one was overpowered, right? Like it, there were everyone was playing specialists. There was only four, of course, but no one really felt super OP. Like, of course, the Canadian, again, I forget his name,
Webster
Webster
McKay.
McKay.
Hmm.
Yeah, Webster McKay. A lot of people were playing him because he could get to really high places, and it was really cool, and it was a really good uh, uh, ability to have. It still didn't feel like you were at a super disadvantage if you didn't play him, right? So that was pretty cool. Uh, But when you only have four, and then we're going to what, 12?
10.
10?
10 at
When we're going
launch.
from 4 to 10, and one of them's X-ray vision. What's the other one? There's X-ray vision,
There
the
was
riot shield,
armor.
and then
There's armor that wasn't in there, so I was worried about that for balancing reasons. You could select armor as your gadget. So there were a few people running armor, but the hit reg was so trash in the beta you couldn't tell armor anyway.
it
But
was, right? Like, it wasn't just me and being crappy at shooting. Like, I'm crappy at
no,
shooting, but
because
the hit reg was
I made gun guide videos and TTK videos on a couple of those, the best guns and stuff to see, and I would go frame by frame because you couldn't tell numbers and the hit reg was so bad. I just had to go frame by frame and watch their health bar, and then I measured it in pixels to tell the damage. Like that's how I had to do it. And there are so many frames where I would just watch bullets go and the thing didn't move. Like I could make a highlight video of bad hit reg. Like
interesting.
it was rough.
Interesting.
But what I'm saying is like armor is like super important to balance, like how it changes time to kill and stuff, and that really wasn't in the beta because that's one of the specialists. We didn't see, how the hack ones react. There's the one that calls in that can revive people and give armor. So
Mhm.
like there's two different armor specialists, the shield, hacker man, um and then yeah, the see-through
There's
walls thing was
grenades.
like
There's a
the
super
smart
grenade
grenades, yeah,
person.
wingsuit,
Smart
and
grenade,
then the smart
wingsuit,
grenades.
smart grenade. And then isn't there another one that's not X-ray vision, but when they shoot at you, you can see where they are?
Yeah, the Boris, the shield, or the, excuse me, Boris's turret does that. And then yeah, there's
No,
another one when he, I think it's Rao when he hacks something, and then he also has a trait where he shoots you and it reveals nearby enemies with that you can see
yes,
through
yes,
cover.
yes, that one,
Yeah,
right? So it
and Pike's the one that's just and sees everything
yeah, I
with a
when
button.
it comes to enemy positions, I just feel like anything to do with, like, look at Call of Duty when they added that, like, you can see people through the wall when you're shooting at them, right? Like, they kinda glow.
Mhm.
Anything that has to do with you knowing your enemy's position is just overpowered. It's just something that we shouldn't even see in a game. You know what I mean? Like UAV kind of stuff, unless everyone has the option for it, it just becomes that everyone wants to use that character because maybe it's not the best, but it's just so much easier to use them and you have an advantage a lot for the average player, right?
Yeah,
So
and
you're not stepping into a different player. You're not trying out different specialists because you're like, I'm comfortable with just knowing where my enemies are, you know?
yeah, it's a comfort pick, and that's something
Mhm.
that happens in Siege a lot, and that's how they got into operators that were played all the time and a bunch that weren't. Is like you like in that game, like you have to bring a Jaeger to keep grenades out, and they nerfed him and nerfed him and nerfed him, and he was just a comfort pick. So like, and you're gonna have people get into ruts like that, maybe me included. Like you get into you hear a lot of footsteps around you, you have that comfort pick, you can hit that button, you can see where they're at, you can get a couple kills and stuff and see what you're working with, and you start to
But
get like where you feel like I don't want to play any other specials because I don't want to be without that.
but you also have to remember that you and I and probably the people watching, well, most definitely the people that are watching this video up until this point, I can tell you that are more hardcore gamers and a fan of this game that we will be able to know like everyone's playing this character. How do we counter this now? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are we going to do so that we can have the upper hand on all these, weekend Andes using the UAV? And is there going to be something like that, right? Or is it just like, he saw me? Like once
That's
once
the way it is.
here's the thing. Once you start getting like sprayed from around the corner before you can even see them because they know where you're at, the game is not fun, right?
Right, that's
Like
that frustration factor, like it.
it's- once someone pre-sprays you because they know exactly where you are and you couldn't respond in any way or even you can it's not a fair fight at that point. The game's just not fun, right? So
And it seems like it
that
happens with every hero shooter. Rainbow had Lion, um that ruined the game. Like he they couldn't use him in Pro League for years. Like he was so broken. It seems like they always come out with strong ones, especially ones that keep you wanting to buy them when they come out and stuff. So I don't know. I think
it's just gonna be a nightmare to balance them all. Like you said, like what other game other than Apex and Rainbow has kind of been like that? I'm just trying to think of like specialists or
the
like
first encounter I had with them was Black Ops 3, and they were called specialists, and they essentially had like the cooldown, almost like a score streak, where you're gonna get free kills with almost all of their gadgets. Um,
look
that's
at Dota, right? Look at Dota and like League
Overwatch.
of Legends or any Overwatch, like any of those games that has to balance a special character because they have certain abilities. You're running into something that I don't feel like the Battlefield games need right now. You know what I mean? Like it's not like they're on top of the mountain and they're like, let's fucking keep going and shoot and like have these crazy ideas. Right now, let's be honest, Battlefield 1, Battlefield 5 didn't hit. They needed to play it somewhat safe, yet somewhat like all they needed to do was make Battlefield 4, but like exponentially better, and everyone would have been super pumped, right? We
Mhm.
would have been
Just based
super
on the
jazzed.
modern setting alone. Yeah.
Exactly. Instead, they're really trying to like swing at the fence here, and I respect them for that. But we have to remember that this can also bite them in the ass so hard, and they should realize that, right? Like this can turn into another Battlefield 1 or 5 that, 7 months, 8 months down the road, yeah, it's really good, or a year down the road, it's amazing, but you already messed up launch. So now everyone's leaving it because they're like, when I first played it, it sucked, right?
Yeah, and that's what happened. That's what happened to World War III. It just didn't work at launch. It ended up being a decent game, but at
Mhm.
launch, it and people gave it one shot, and that's what happens a lot. And I've just come to terms with it. I don't think it's going to be balanced ever. And we're just gonna have to find fun where it's at, and we will. I mean, it's gonna be
I I
fun,
I
but
just before we leave, I do wanna ask you a question about Portal, and how it's not it's they're not having rentable servers, right?
they're not, but they're like, the way I understand it is they're free. Like you can make a custom server and have essentially a rental server, but you don't have to pay for it.
So if I'm not on, is my server still going on, or does my
Don't
computer have to be on?
I think they're dedicated servers. I think.
It's 2 weeks before launch, guys. We should be knowing this right now.
I'm just
Am I
I'm just a
crazy?
trash
Am I
I'm just a
crazy?
trash Battlefield YouTuber. I'll have to I'll
No,
have
no, 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 no.
I'll
It's
have to
not
I'm kidding.
yours. No,
I'm kidding.
it's not you. It's
I'll have to sift through like 70 Twitter accounts to try to find where the one dev said that it's gonna be. But
The
I
this is my issue right now, is, like, there's so many questions that, like, unless you know the right person or you know the right, like, thing, or, like, you and this is the same thing that Battlestate has. Like, this is the same issue Tarkov has, is unless you're really following them, or you're following a YouTuber that really plays it or something, and you're watching this news, unless you're, like, your life is this, you're kind of lost. You didn't know that there was a big event this weekend, right? And it shouldn't be like that. It should be pretty straightforward. And it's 2 weeks before launch. We should know what's going on. Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway,
So anyway, I think it does
yeah.
work like that, but I'm not sure because
I
they talked about banning people as well and how admins could ban people, and it bans them across all your servers that you're an admin to, and you don't have to reban them either. They stay banned. So at the very least, when you're done playing, it doesn't lose like your game settings. I do know
I'm just
that,
hoping
but
like that I can have like Geekseh Geekseh's fun shack over here, and we're even if I'm not on and my computer's not on, the fun shack's still going, right? Because
mhm.
like in my head, everyone's like, "Oh, it's Portal." Everyone just go, like I hate hearing that it's just like, "Well, if you don't like it, go play Portal." I hate that.
I've
I
heard that
hate
a
that.
ton.
Yeah, but but if it is that way, then we have to have. I shouldn't be like, "Oh, is blah 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 on with his server, or is he offline right now?" Right? Like that's what I was worried about with the rental server thing. Or can I just like, hey, it's Wednesday, so Geeksay's Fun Shack is always doing like only SMGs today, or something, and it's community day. I'm
There's a
just
lot of questions still.
yeah,
You bring up a good
yeah,
point.
yeah. It's 2 weeks away. I thought it was 3, and I thought we had like just under a month for them to like, okay, you know what I mean? We're gonna start seeing some stuff, but okay, cool. 2 weeks away. Let's yeah, I'm
Yeah, I think next week they're gonna do the other three maps like they did today, and then we're along for the ride. That's just my guess.
I also feel
Next Thursday,
bad though
10 a.m.
because like the developers, the community managers, like there's only so much they can do and tell us because they're probably in shambles. If they're not talking, they probably want to. Excuse me. They want to, but they can't. Um sorry, my dogs are I'm just
Oh,
looking at
no
my
worries.
dog. Like whenever I look down, I'm just looking at my puppies.
Understood.
But when like I know the people behind this game are super passionate, and that's why I like we're having a discussion because we want the best for the game. We really do love the franchise, and to be honest, we just think it's fun to hypothetically talk about stuff. And in the end of the day, we're not like we want the worst for this game. We want the best for this game. We want it to succeed. We're gamers through and through. Before I'm a streamer, I'm a gamer. I've always been a gamer. So I want this Battlefield game to be good because not only do I love the franchise, I love video games. And right now it's kind of a shitty time for video games. Let's be honest, right?
Yeah, we're hoping that
There's not
that's the
yeah.
best hope that these games come out and they compete with each other and we get some competition and games stepping up their game for lack of a better
Well,
term. But like,
like So Halo's not for me anymore, right? I played the beta. It's good. Don't get me wrong, and I'm going to give it another go when it releases. But it just doesn't seem like the
Because it's
game for
free.
me anymore. I don't know.
Might as
It's
well
just
try.
it's just it's the same old for me. And you know what? I think I just changed as a gamer. I can say I've changed in my tastes and everything. But it is free to play, so of course we're going to give it a try because of course free to play is
That's what I'm saying.
there's
Yeah.
zero barrier to entry, so it just takes up hard drive space and then I delete it. Now, if we go to, Call of Duty, not really excited for that. And then Battlefield was like my one game that I was like, okay, this will be it, right? This season's going to be it, right? Like this season is going to be this year is going to be the year Battlefield like turns it up to 11, and it's going to be fire out of the gate, and we will. It's almost like we all drank the Kool-Aid and they're like, we're ahead of everything, we got this, and we're all like, it's
Oh yeah.
happening, it's happening, it's happening. And then it just kind of like the fire's on. Like,
I'm very
cool,
guilty of that. Building it up.
but you're building it up because you were told like you were told about all these things, and they were hyping it up. So you wanted to believe it was true. And again, it's just a learning process for all of us to be like, okay, well, maybe we won't. And that's the thing, right? Losing trust for a company or losing trust for like, uh, what game developers say and stuff, because maybe they did think it was ahead of development. And then, and that's the thing, they did say it was ahead of development. They thought it was. And then there was like 20,000 bugs that came out of nowhere. And now they're kind of at square one, right? So
I think it
I'm
was
not saying that they
crossplay.
weren't truthful. You think it was crossplay?
I think
Yeah.
crossplay was an afterthought because in the tech test that was just a couple months ago, they said they're testing their first iteration of crossplay. Like you've been working on this game 3 days. Every other game has been killing it with crossplay, and you're just now testing it. And then they didn't have crossplay parties in the beta, and now at launch, crossplay chat isn't even going to work. So I feel like they built this game, and somebody from higher up is like, it has to have crossplay, or they were like, oh crap, we need to make crossplay. And I just feel that if I had to guess what went on based on the verbiage from the tech test, the functionality of crossplay not even being there at launch, to me, it feels like that might have been some of the issue, but that's just guessing.
It's gonna be fun. It always is, like 3 years down the road when some developer starts talking about what happened, like it always happens with video games.
Yeah,
They tell the true story about like it was a shit show. Like I was reading a Reddit post about one of the developers, that was going anonymously, but saying what happened with the Halo, the newest Halo, and why it got delayed and like all the issues. And it's just super interesting from like a content creator and a gamer to be like, like that there's a lot to do with it. And DICE is amazing, but I could see one day they were like, we want to delay 6 months, and EA was like, nope, no way in
yeah,
hell you are putting this out.
they can't miss the
No.
holiday. They can't miss the holiday window for
But
sales.
what they don't see is EA doesn't see that Battlefield 5 right now is in an amazing spot. I think a lot of people would love if it first came out and it was like this.
Hmm.
But again, they gave everyone a bad taste, so no one's coming back to the game. So if they do that with this game, it's just going to be like it's going to be the same thing.
Same
It's going to
thing.
be the same
Yeah,
thing.
that's what scares me the most is, we were told it was ahead of schedule. It was going to be, uh, one of the best games. They had the most time to work on it that they have in a long time with the most studios. And then that's the biggest thing that hit me in the beta. And that's, people say it's just a beta. That's right. It was back to being just a beta. Like we were just back to what it's always been. And we were told it was going to be different. That's why we had to put up with 3 years of no content, or over 2 years of no content, was because it was going to be better this time. And it wasn't. But here we are, and we'll find out in 2 weeks.